Yes, we're all well here, so that's very good.
All right. All right. I'd like to welcome you all to today's session organized by VODAN Africa. This will be the 21st installment of the Metadata for Machines workshop. My name is Charles Kahiro, and I am the Creative Director at TravelWorks Africa. Now, for today's session, we will be hearing from the Tunisian team led by Professor Miriam. She was unable to join us today, so we will be doing a recorded presentation specifically on how to create a CRF template on the DSW wizard of the VODAN-in-a-box. So currently, as it is now, the CRF template that's available is for the standardized WHO eCRF. But the question is, what if you're trying to collect different data that is also COVID related? So how exactly would you go about it? And case in point being the Tunisian team, because they had the same situation. I believe they did a presentation a while back where they were collecting migration data and media reports related to COVID-19. So that's what we'll be dealing with today. And Mariam, who's available, Mariam Basaja, will be giving us some technical insights on the same. If you have any questions or comments after the presentation. So as always, during the presentation, let's keep our mics muted to prevent any background disruptions for the flow. So if you're yet to do so now. And if you have any questions during the presentation or as you watch the recording, just type them in the chat box and then we will try and address those questions in the Q&A session at the end. All right, with that, I will request Ivy to start off the video.
Hi everyone. Today's presentation aims to demonstrate steps for the creation of a CRF template on CRF Wizard. At first, as you can see in this screen, this is the workspace on CRF Wizard. On the left, there is the menu with different options. For example, we have how to manage users, how to edit CRF template, etc. But in this step, I want to precise there is a difference between CRF templates and templates. As it was explained in previous emails exchanged with Marek, the CRF template is the knowledge model. So it describes how the questionnaire looks like, such as chapters, questions, answers, etc. However, the template transforms the answers in a questionnaire to a specific form. Let's start now to see how we can create an example of a CRF template. So, as you can see in this left-hand menu, there is a button, CRF Template Editor. We will click on this button. Then, we will create a new CRF template. We will click on this button, Create. So we will fill the fields. So for example, we will give the name for our test of CRF, for example, migrant. We will give an identifier, for example, 1, and then we can save these changes. Just I have to mention that here there is also the option to create a new CRF template on base of an existing one. So when we click in this menu, we have the two options of an existing CRF templates. As you can see, we found also the WHO COVID-19 case report. So in this case, we will let this case empty. We will save these changes and we will have this new creation of the CRF template. Once we have created a new CRF template, we will start filling it. For our case, as a reminder, and as you can see in this Excel sheet, our information were about mainly 4 categories of information. About the first one is events, the second about some statistics, and the third about actors, and the last one about source of information. So when we back to the CRF wizard, we will start by the introduction of these different chapters. At first, we give a name for this CRF template. For example, in our case, we give the name of migrant, and then we will add the different chapters. So we will click in this button, Add Chapter. The first one will be the chapter about events. So we will give the noun events. And in this box, we will give a short description of this chapter. So we can write this section is about events reported in press articles. Then we have to save these changes, and as you can see in this in the left, in this gray area, the first chapter was added. Then we return to the CRF template migrant, and we will add the second chapter. We give the name of statistics. We can give a short description in this box, and we save changes. We add the third chapter, which is about actors. We save changes, and then we add the last one, which is about source of information. And we save changes. As you can see in the gray area, we have an overview of the CRF template, and we can use it to navigate between the different parts. Let's turn now to the creation of questions. As you can see, we have, for example, we will add a question in the second chapter for statistics. We click on this chapter, and we have here a button about how we can add a question. We click on, and as you can see here, we have several options of a question or types of question, options, list of items, value, and for example, let's start by the introduction of an example of a question as a value. So for this chapter, we have a question about how many migrants were infected by the COVID-19. So the name for this question will be number of infected migrant, and we will give here a short description of this question. How many migrants were infected by the COVID-19? And here in value type, we will specify that it is a number. As you can see, we have different options that we can use for different other questions, for example, date. So here we will specify that this question will be a number, which save changes. As you can see, this question was added in this area and in this specific chapter, which is about statistics. Let's now demonstrate an example of question with options. For this, in the chapter events, the first question is about the country where the event was occurred. So we have to insert the list of countries as options. Thus, in this specified chapter, we can add question about countries. We start by defining the type of question. In this case, it is option. And then we will give a title for this question. For example, country identifier. In this box, we can add a description for this question. And then we have to define the different answers to this question using this button. In this level, I have to highlight another point. In fact, the CRF wizard gives us the possibility to add a reference to this question, for example, when we use this button. Adding reference reminds us the use of controlled terms, such as the bioportal ontologies on the CEDAR platform. In our case, and concerning the country identifier, we choose to use the ISO Alpha 3 country codes. To add this reference, we have just to copy this URL and we will pass it in the box related to reference here. As you can see here, we save changes and we back to country identifier. As you can see here, the reference was added. Then, after adding this reference, we can insert the different options for answers. So the first answer will be Tunisia. We use the code of Tunisia. We save chance. Then the second one is Niger. The third, Libya, for example. And we can repeat the same process for the introduction of the different options of countries. At final, we can add the option other if we want to add another option that didn't or don't exist in the previous list of countries. And for this specific answer, we have to add a follow-up question with the use of type of value to give us the opportunity to add a text as an answer for this specific option. Specified it will be a text. Type options can be used for single choice question where there is a single answer, as we have seen with the question country identifier. But in some cases, we have to select more than one answer, so it is a multiple choice questions. In our example, we have a question about type events that are reported in press article. It could be event related to health, to social situation, to movement, or to security situation. An article can report more than one type of event. So to deal with this type of situation, we will use the proposition list of items as question type. Those in the chapter events, we add a new question that will be named type of events. This question have as a type list of items. Then in the section item template, we add a new question. This new question will have as a type options, and then we insert yes or no as options in the section answers. We will give also a title for this question that will be health, for example. We will repeat the same process for all the types of events that can be found on the different articles. For example, we have to add the second type, which is social. This is the final version of the created CRF template with the different chapters and questions. The gray area allows us to navigate on the different parts of the CRF. We have also the possibility to rearrange the order of questions. In addition, in order to see the resulting questionnaire looks like, we use the button preview, as you can see here. Now, to add the new created template to the list of CRF templates in this section, and to make it available for people to use it, in the editor section, we publish it by clicking in publish in this button. So we have to give a number for this new version. For example, it will be the second version. And we have to fill all the fields presented in this box. As you can see here, the license, the description, and at final, we have to save the changes. So the new published version will be added to the list of CRF templates. As you can see here, this is the new version of the VODAN CRF template. This new published version can be then exported, for example, in the knowledge model, format. Let's turn back to the CRF wizard. After finishing now the creation of the CRF template, which is the knowledge model, we have to specify the template that will transform answers in a specific form. For this, we registered in the DSW registry, as it was recommended by Marek. We obtained a token. This later was then copied and then passed in the setting section here in the DSW registry, passed here in this box, and we save the changes after. When this action allowed us to import a new template, which is the questionnaire report. This later can turn any questionnaire to a document such as HTML, PDF, Word, etc. Here, as you can see, the new template was added in addition to the existing templates such as the WHO CRF. Now the CRF template is ready and the questionnaire report was added as a template. In this stage, adding a new profile of user can be helpful. For this, we have just to go to the section users and to create a new profile. Each user will use his or her email to access to the CRF template. Now, for the entry of data, we have to move to the section CRFs, and then we have to create the different CRFs. For the first one, we will give the number 1 for the identifier. We choose the VODAN second version as a CRF template. And then we start filling the different fields of this CRF. For example, it is an event that occurred in Tunisia during this year. It is an event about health and especially about infections. We save changes. After finishing the entry of data, we can create a report for each CRF by clicking in this button, Create Report. The creation of the report gives us the possibility to choose the format that we want, as you can see in this screen. But as you can see also, we haven't the format RDF because, as it was explained by Marek, the question report export template works with only questionnaire and doesn't need to know anything about the semantics. In our case, we can use the JSON data. That's all for the creation of the CRF template. Now, for our project in Tunisia, we are working on the binding of the CRF wizard with the Allegro graph for the storage of the metadata. So that's all for this presentation. I hope that it was pretty clear. Thank you a lot for your attention and see you soon.
And there you have it. The presentation from Tunisia. I think it was a pretty good and concise one in terms of how to create a CRF template. Now, I know there are some areas she hasn't covered as she has highlighted, but we can take some questions now from you guys, and then we see how to address them. So questions, comments, now is your time to air any of them.
Thank you, Charles. And let me also thank Professor Mariam in absence for doing a very beautiful job. I want to call the attention of the Data Science Nigerian team, Dr. Sakinat and Ezekiel, because I actually had them in mind when I made this request for Professor Mariam to give this, this webinar. They have similarities in their FDPs. They're not exactly patient data. The other kind of COVID-19 data that are not patient data. So that was why I wanted her to show an example of how she was able to create the CRF. So I hope the Nigerian team, especially the Data Science Nigerian team, are happy with this. And if there are questions, hopefully Miriam will be able to address some of this, but the ones we're not able to address, we can compile them in an email and send to Professor Mariam, and she can always address them at a later time.
I can see Dr. Sakinat highlighting that it was a very concise presentation. Thank you for that. We have a question from Shome who's asking, is there a possibility to create options with skip patterns? I don't know whether Mariam is here, whether she can address that one, or we'll push it to the professor. Mariam, are you there? Basaja?
Oh, hi, hello.
Hi.
Hey, so let me see, 1 second, the question. Okay, I don't think I can answer this question right now. So
I see as a follow-up question as well, in terms of the data types for entry, in terms of, is it possible to store images or submit images as part of the data? Yeah.
No, as far as I know, that's not possible.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, it's
For this, yeah, go ahead.
only text that you can enter. You
So a
can
classical style questionnaire form filling, essentially.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
All right. I guess for the skip patterns, we will forward that one to the professor. I see Dr. Sakinat is asking about audio files as well. I believe the same would apply in terms of being able to just upload text. Because I think the only way to fill the form is via the text fields. I haven't seen in the demonstration any upload function or an upload feature for submitting a response, either as a file or as a document. So, but we will check into that for you. We can confirm with the DSW team whether it's a feature that can be added to the forms or it's something that is in the feature development roadmap going forward. I don't know whether Bart has any comments on this.
Well, the only thing I can say is that, of course, in the text you can refer to a certain text message or to a picture or to something else. So you can do that by including a URI where you can refer to. That, of course, is possible. But I think it's good to check it with the check team to see if maybe they have some additional smart things for that.
Yeah, or maybe it's something people can build as part of scripting.
Yeah, absolutely.
As a feature. So, yeah. Any additional questions and comments?
Yes, Charles, I raised my hand. I don't know if I can talk now.
Yes, by all means.
Okay,
yeah.
Thank you. Actually, the presentation is very concise and straight to the point. So I'm sure that some of the questions that I have, maybe not now, I will forward it later. I'm going to follow through with this slide right after this timeout. But just like I put there, we have different data types: text, images, audio. So, and this, we even have medical audio files too. So I will appreciate this if we can look into this well for us, like some audio files, like maybe like sound of a cough or cry of a baby or of a distressed baby. Those are some, I believe that there's some medical audio files. So if you can look into this for us, it will be great. Thank you.
No worries. We will follow up together with the questions just to find out what features are available when it comes to the ability to put in the responses. So as Bart was highlighting, maybe it's something that is done third party. So you store your files and data and image files secondary, and then you enter the link in the form. Because at the end of the day, you'd have data storage concerns if you're uploading, whether it's video files, audio files, images, those media types do tend to be bulky eventually if you're collecting a lot of them vis-a-vis just text itself. But we will follow up, as well as you're saying, we can follow up after, and then we see what the capabilities are.
Hello, Charles. I still have one more clarification from
Yes.
what you said now.
Yeah.
Now, okay. Now, if I get it right,
Yeah.
you were saying that maybe we could convert those audio or image file into text files, like extracting their features and save it. Is that what you mean?
No, what I mean is, if you're storing, let's say, the audio files in a repository, for example. So let's say whether you're using, whether it's Mega Upload or any of these big data storage or cloud storage options, specifically for those files, you can use that link to fill in your file as a text option. So it would be the audio file location is with this link. So you would enter your link as text, and that storage site would be captured on the file. So we are not saying about transcribing the video so that you store the text version of it. It's just a link pointing us to where that audio file would be. I don't know whether it's making it's clearer now.
Okay, thank you.
But in terms of being able to upload the actual audio file as part of the data collection process with the questionnaire, that's what I'm saying we'll have to confirm. So we see whether the form actually, or the wizard actually does have that capability, whether it's something that can be scripted onto it, or it's something that they're planning on adding in the long term as part of our feature development roadmap.
Yeah. Also, Charles, I think you want to keep the fair data point and the metadata files as light as possible.
Yes.
So it looks like it's a better way to store all these images and audios and extra stuff somewhere else, and then simply by a link referring to them.
Yeah. So it's a reference style of more of data storage, because like I was saying before, the audio files, image files as well, video files, even though when you're collecting them, they may seem small, when accumulated, they may take on a considerable amount of storage. So which then would have impact down the line. So, but we will clarify that for you guys. Any additional questions or comments? Going once, going twice. All right, it seems that one was a quick and very solid presentation. I'll just hand over to Francisca in case there are any announcements before we wrap it up.
Thank you, Charles. We'd just like to thank everyone for their presence and participation at today's webinar. And then also promise that come next Tuesday, we are going to have another mind-blowing session like this from another team. I'm not going to mention the team yet. I'll leave Ivy to do that at the right time. But to thank everyone and also to congratulate us on the progress made so far. Earlier today, I was on the panel for the Polish Data Stewardship School in Poland with Eric. And then I had the opportunity of speaking on the VODAN-Africa journey, especially the data stewardship journey. And I chronicled how we actually started from a place of like zero ideas of what we were to do to a point now when we have had to actually pioneer the idea of verification of COVID-19 data globally. And it was well received. So I will continue to be proud of every member of this team. And then We are also grateful to our sponsors, the GoPair Foundation, that is here, the CODE, the FMO, and then the most recent one, Google, that have provided the funding for us to at least take this initiative to the next phase. We're expected to round up the Philips funding by the end of this month. And then thankfully we won't have to discontinue, but we'll continue on to bigger and bigger things in the next phase. So I thank all of you, and I hope to see every one of us again next week, Tuesday. Thank you very much, Charles. Thank you, Ivy, for bringing us together every week. We're really grateful.
All right. And in the same breath, I'd like to thank everyone for showing up today. We appreciate that you took the time to be here with us once again for the Metadata for Machines workshop. As always, with every demonstration, it would be great to revisit it to make sure that the knowledge has actually been transferred. So as such, a recorded version of this webinar will be available on the VODAN Africa website as well as the YouTube channel. So be sure to check that out in case you missed part of it, or as always, you want to review the content such as today. Also be sure to join us next week for the Metadata for Machines workshop on Tuesday. Details on the timings and the topics will be shared on the various VODAN Africa communication channels. Yeah, I guess that's it. So thanks again for joining us today, and we will see you next time.
Good. Thank you, everybody. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.